said you made this conversion in what year?
I think it was 2018 I started investing, yeah.
Okay, well, I just for, as a point of fact, for what it's worth, May 14th, 2019, you came on television and called Bitcoin garbage.
Mr. Wonderful thinks it's worthless.
Well, I
called it garbage this morning.
I want to explore the idea. Yeah, I did say that. I want to explore the idea that there is nothing here except raw speculation. No different than when I go to Las Vegas and put my money on black or red on a roulette wheel, because where is the intrinsic value inherent in deploying real capital? Let's talk real money here.
Hey guys, welcome back to Library of Wealth. It seems that Kevin O'Leary continues to dig himself deeper in the Sam Bankman-Fried saga, and now we're seeing that Binance CEO CZ was right, and Kevin O'Leary wasn't being truthful when he took front and center, running damage control for FTX and SBF. Despite the numerous charges that Bankman-Fried is facing, O'Leary appears to be a pawn for the face of FTX, and now the lies are starting to pile up. O'Leary's presence in these proceedings raises many questions, especially because he's already been paid for his role as spokesman. It begs the question, what agreement was worked out behind the scenes to have him continue to speak for Sam Bankman-Fried as well? Kevin O'Leary drew special attention to himself when trying to blame the FTX collapse on CEO of Binance CZ for purchasing their assets back, which made regulators and federal officials suspicious, seeing as how the evidence didn't point in that direction at all. Clearly a diversion or a publicity stunt, O'Leary seems to raise more questions than he has answers. Binance CEO CZ then responded to the allegations O'Leary was making, directly calling him a liar and pointing out the confusion O'Leary was attempting to create. Let's check out O'Leary's interview on CNBC, reacting to CZ's remarks. Watch for the contradictions in what he says.
Now, let me address something before we go any further. Yesterday on the air, CZ called me a liar. That suggests that I perjured myself in front of the U.S. Senate for 2 hours this week. I can assure you that is not the case. At the end of the day, I have no ill will to this guy, but he's part of the story too. And you found out yesterday, you did a little work with Squawk Box. We talked about it either being $2 billion or $3 billion, that transaction. That's the largest transaction, I think, of anything in there regarding the balance sheet in recent 24-month period. And he confirmed it was $2.1 billion. And then he confirmed that he still had $550 million, $500 million of FTT tokens. Now, at some point, we're going to look at that week of November 6th, and you ask anybody, why was Sam Bankman-Fried or the whole company FTX forced into bankruptcy? It was jamming down that last $500 million that gave them no option. Now, is that the fatal stroke or blow to get rid of your global competitor? I say yes. And I'll tell you something else. Right after that interview, I got a phone call, or actually it was a text, from a lobbyist in Washington saying, don't go anywhere, you're coming back. So I bet CZ bought himself an invitation to Washington yesterday. Can't wait to meet him there. We can go sightseeing.
If he did do it, maybe it was a favor to everybody if they'd unveiled a Ponzi scheme that might have still been going on otherwise.
Well, remember, he was trying to buy the business at that time. On Wednesday, the idea was he was going to buy it.
Was he doing that just to throw more shade at him? I don't know.
Well, we don't know, but obviously if he thought there was fraud, he wouldn't have made an offer to buy it. So nobody knew, including, remember, this guy's a huge shareholder of FTX, or he was, and so he didn't see the fraud either. So at the end of the day, the question becomes clawback. You've been talking about it for the last 2 days. Is that 2.1 billion Madoff-style clawback? Who knows? But if I get on that credit committee, I'll be one of the guys doing the clawing. So I'm looking forward to that, because I think at the end of the day, every shareholder and account holder has to have an answer to what happened here. I normally would have written this off like the other 8 venture investments, but not this one. I'm staying on this one right to the end. I'm going to teach this course at Harvard one day in my guest lecturing. This is going to be a case. This will be a chestnut. This is an extraordinary situation right now.
We were talking about actually endorsements and endorsees. You know, obviously, Larry David was in the FTX Super Bowl commercial. Tom Brady took on his role as a spokesman of sorts for the company. You're a spokesman for the sorts of the company. Not of sorts, but were. It's funny. I don't know if it's funny. Some people wouldn't expect a Larry David or a Tom Brady, maybe fairly or unfairly, to either have known or understood or necessarily done all the diligence that they should have done.
Well, let me tell you why.
But they look at you and they think that you should have.
Well, that's interesting to differentiate me. I can tell you he's a better quarterback than I am. So there's things we do differently. But let me tell you what the theory was and why Sam Bankman-Fried was hiring all these people. He was very jealous of the accounts that Coinbase had, and he wanted to figure out how to build a retail base quickly. And so it's not crazy what he did. Putting his name on an arena makes sense if you can make a brand become ubiquitous in America so that you can try and get more consumers to build that base. Maybe jealous isn't the right word, but he said they started 3 years earlier and they were way ahead of him, and he wanted to catch up. And that was the way to do it. So it's not a crazy theory. Companies advertise and they do it this way. Now, obviously, none of us would have wanted to be in this mess if we could have avoided it, but we just didn't know. And frankly, venture investing is, you can do all the due diligence you want. You're still going to get 8 out of 10 go to zero. That's been the stats since 1954 when they first started covering it in Boston. Right. So at the end of the day, that's the nature of investing this way. It's risky.
O'Leary then doubled down on Binance CEO CZ being at fault by sending out a tweet about acquiring FTX because of a significant liquidity crunch and highlighting that the exchange was in trouble. Clearly, it was odd that O'Leary would point to that as a reason for the collapse rather than the obvious fraud. Let's get right back into the interview as we see O'Leary get caught in yet another lie.
You went from Charlie Munger's view on Bitcoin to Michael Saylor's view. Did that conversion coincide with the 15 million that you got from FTX?
No, I was investing 3.5 years earlier than that. I changed my mind back in early 2018 when I saw the regulators in jurisdictions like Canada, Switzerland, and Abu Dhabi start to change their minds. But I'll tell you what really got me investing, Joe. You know, I mentioned these guest lecturing things I do. They're usually to graduating cohorts of engineers. And so these are classes that are 6 to 9 at night. And these are the best and brightest at MIT or in business school at Harvard. I started to notice back in 2018, I'd say, okay, wait, where are you guys going? Where are you going? Because about 1/3 of the class will create entrepreneurial efforts and they'll start businesses. They're all going to the blockchain.
I gotta stop you. I gotta stop you. You just said you made this conversion in what year?
I think it was 2018 I started investing, yeah.
Okay, well, I just for, as a point of fact, for what it's worth, May 14th, 2019, you came on television and called Bitcoin garbage.
Mr. Wonderful thinks it's worthless.
Well, I
called it garbage this morning.
I want to explore the idea. Yeah, I did say that. I want to explore the idea that there's nothing here except raw speculation. No different than when I go to Las Vegas and put my money on black or red on a roulette wheel, because where is the intrinsic value inherent in deploying real capital? Let's talk real money here, and putting it into Bitcoin as a storage of value. I get gold. For 2,000 years, including the Romans, they saw value in owning that as an asset class. Tell me why this, which is basically a digital game, that's the way I look at it, has any intrinsic value. When people actually put real money into this, they make no interest, they can't pay their taxes with it, the regulators don't like it, which is always a problem for compliance. And where's the long-term value? Just this idea that they're going to cut the number of units in half, that's such a scam. Like, that's just totally BS. I taught a class at Harvard 18 months ago that young people in that class challenged me. I put $100 into something called Coinbase, which is a wallet thing. And
you buy Bitcoin?
I bought them all. I bought all the crypto. I put $100 in. It's now worth 30.
30.
That's a 70% loss on my crypto. Now, I bought them all. I think that really sucks. And I think people should understand today that the hot digital is Bitcoin. Tomorrow it could be whatever, right?
Just
then I'm wrong. It's the year later.
And keeps it in
I'm sorry, guys.
And keeping the time, but also, Kevin, so prior to that, you hadn't looked at it at all. I wonder about Munger. I wonder about a lot of it. Most of the people that call them Beanie Babies have never looked into actually how it works. Had you not looked into it, and yet you had those very strong opinions about Bitcoin?
I remember. I think it was 2017, coming on Squawk Box talking about the tokenization of a hotel in New York. And the regulator let me know right after that they were not okay with that. And that was the beginning of realizing, wow, things are tough out here with this crypto stuff. Right. But maybe you're right, Andrew. Maybe I started 2019. But the point was long before I became a paid spokesperson, years before. So it didn't change my mind to be paid or, go through that whole process. I'm an advocate of this because I think the productivity available in crypto and particularly payment systems looks extraordinary.
O'Leary has now made a new name for himself, and most will no longer see him as Mr. Wonderful, but as the guy who's attempting to divert attention away from clear red flags, fraud, and financial liability that belongs to FTX and Sam Bankman-Fried. You can't help but wonder what further monetary compensation O'Leary is receiving for his continued role, but we'll have to wait and see. What do you think about Kevin O'Leary's change in position? And what is the endgame for the Sam Bankman-Fried saga? Comment down below. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. This is Library of Wealth. We'll see you in the next video.